Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Caribbean Airlines named the Caribbean's leading airline for the 4th consecutive year. Trade Minister says systems are on the go to improve the shipping sector. And Tobago's fishermen set to benefit from a pilot program. Thank you for joining us. Caribbean Airlines has been named the Caribbean's leading airline for the 4th consecutive year at the annual World Travel Awards. This year, the function was held at Sandals Grande Antigua Resort and Spa, which was attended by CAL's senior marketing manager, Alicia Cabrera, who accepted the award on behalf of the airline. She believes the latest win cements CAL's position as the region's premier carrier. The category was judged based on travel industry professionals voting, and the senior marketing manager says this makes it even more prestigious as the airline's customers and travel agent partners clearly recognize the tremendous effort put forth by the staff to make each flight special. Caribbean Airlines took the win over other regional air carriers, Air Caribes, Bahamas Air, Cubana, and Liat, whilst American Airlines took the title of North America's leading airline. The World Travel Awards, which was founded in 1993 by Graham Cook, acknowledges rewards and celebrates excellence across all sectors of the tourism industry. The WTA brand is recognized globally as the ultimate hallmark of quality, with winners setting the benchmark to which all others aspire. In other news, Trade and Industry Minister, the Honourable Vasant Bharat, says systems are on the go to improving the shipping sector toward becoming more competitive or a more competitive partner in the global maritime industry. He was speaking at the 75th anniversary of the Shipping Association's Gala and Awards ceremony.
Changes to the local maritime sector that will boost Trinidad and Tobago's position in the global shipping sector are also expected to boost this country's competitiveness in the industry. This according to Trade and Industry Minister Vasant Bharat, who says works on a new port located in the southwestern district are in the pipeline. He was speaking at the gala ceremony held to mark the Shipping Association here in Trinidad and Tobago 75 years of doing business commercially. Minister Bharat says in addition to this, improvements to port equipment will see a further boost in efficiency at the dock facilities.
We are therefore in the process of executing a memorandum of understanding for a project, the design and build of a new transshipment port and dry dock facilities located in southwestern Trinidad and Tobago. This would be accessing funding at concessional rates from the government of China, as was committed to by the President of China on his visit to Trinidad and Tobago. We are also supporting and improving efficiency at our existing port. As many of you may have read recently, we met with a contractor who's providing a port scanner for the Port of Spain port. In discussions with Ashley earlier on, he mentioned that the US government had also promised Trinidad and Tobago 4 scanners, and I intend to follow up on that as early as next week.
Making business easier for shipping agencies includes collaborative efforts from various ministries. Speaking on behalf of newly installed Transport Minister Stephen Cadiz, Maritime Services Director at the Ministry Beverly Phillips says steps are being taken to ensure tracking of shipments along its journey from departure to arrival.
This 5-phase project, which is now in its 3rd phase, will allow identification and monitoring of ships, strategic planning of ships' movement, and provision of navigational information and assistance. Second, a single electronic window, SEW, consistent with the e-Maritime system in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment, MTII. This automated system will facilitate maritime traffic by simplifying and reducing to a minimum the formalities, documentary requirements and procedures on the arrival, departure of ships engaged in international voyages.
Recent bilateral agreements speak to opening up of new transshipment ports, including the Panama Canal, ports in China and Brazil. This also points to the generation of further revenue through the maritime industry.
A strategic plan has indeed been developed to position our local industry as a maritime hub and global leader in the maritime industry, which is characterized by service excellence, innovation, customer focus, environmental sustainability, and human resource development. The objectives outlined in the Merchant Marine Industry Strategy include the upgrading of the legislative and regulatory environment, institutional reform, human resource development, and the development of competitive clusters. The Maritime Industry Development Committee, the MIDC, was established to oversee the implementation of the strategic plan. This thus signaled government's intention to guide the long-term development of the industry and the sector in order to make it sustainable and efficient as far as revenue generation is concerned.
The event saw the recognition of the men and women who have made an indelible contribution to the shipping sector here in Trinidad and Tobago. Awardees included Hummingbird Medal recipient Ignatius Ferreira, former president of the Shipping Association, as well as chairman of Club Deco, Ian Atherley. Kimberly Calawan, News 4.
The 2013-2014 law term opened with the usual interfaith service, which brought together the country's judicial officers, giving them a chance to reflect on their past efforts in solidarity while looking forward to the year ahead.
The Holy Trinity Cathedral in Port of Spain saw the congregation of judges, masters, magistrates and attorneys on Monday for the service of divine worship as the 2013-2014 law term opened. There was a wide cross-section of public officials, including Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad Bissessar, SC, and His Excellency President Anthony Thomas Aquinas Carmona, SC. The congregation was privy to welcome remarks and prayers from representatives of the country's major faiths. Independent Senator Helen Drayton was called upon to address those gathered at the interfaith service and used the opportunity to address many of the concerns relative to the judicial system.
I interpret judicial independence and separation of powers to mean that other branches of government will not improperly influence the justice system, neither with private and partisan interests. On the other hand, I recognize there must be interdependence, since the political and legal elites must work together to ensure the advancement and deepening of the culture of judicial independence as our democracy evolves and advances. That interdependence is necessary to create and establish institutional and constitutional structures which safeguard the public's interests and facilitate sound traditions of good governance.
The issue of a poor perception of the judicial system by citizens was also raised, and Mrs. Drayton acknowledged that the experiences gained by those who appear before the courts can have a long-lasting effect on the individual as well as the society by extension.
The judicial system and its key custodians are the barometers of integrity and principle for society. The judges are impartial decision makers in the pursuit of justice. They are, as it is said, a place apart from other institutions in society. Thoughtful care is necessary to protect against violations occurring through non-official activities, words and actions, involvement in politics and political parties, and other institutions and associations with the potential to throw doubt on judicial neutrality. Today, more than ever, we need persons of principle who are compassionate and who are prepared to be independent, impartial, and make hard but right decisions. I believe that our country has had more achievements than failures. I think we have more strengths than weaknesses, and our vigilance and resilience are admirable attributes. Invariably, the people who come before the courts do so irrespective of whether they are victim or accused, plaintiff or defendant. They are vulnerable to the very system in which they seek refuge. Their experiences will determine whether the society we eagerly seek to transform will make them bitter, disgruntled, frustrated citizens who see justice as corrupt.
Responding to those who may say that Trinidad and Tobago is a lawless society, the independent senator said, "We are lawless only insofar as laws are not enforced." Following the hour-long interfaith service, Chief Justice Ivor Archie led a procession to the Hall of Justice, where the ceremonial opening continued. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, after the budget presentation for fiscal 2013-2014, Tobagonians shared their thoughts on the amount allocated to manage Tobago affairs.
After the $61.3 billion budget presentation from the Minister of Finance, Larry Howai, Tobago received $3.3 billion. According to the Finance Minister, the figure represents 5.39% of the national budget. We met up with some Tobagonians who shared their views on the allocations.
I think they ain't get enough money. I think they put too much into like security, like national security. I find they get a lot of money and they always having a lot of money. And I can't see no curve on crime. I find it getting worse every day. I feel if some of that money in national security come to Tobago, we could develop Tobago much more. I see many times we had to hold back on a lot of projects, a lot of things to develop the place because of the small amount of money we've been getting over the years.
But he says even with the $3.3 billion to the THE, the Chief Secretary should know which divisions need most of the money and therefore the allocations to the divisions will be given accordingly.
But they should put it in the best use and help people, small people on the ground.
Though he feels Tobago is being most time left out by the government, he hopes they put the money they receive into proper use.
Our healthcare is not top of the line in comparison to Trinidad. And if Trinidad and Tobago at Twilight Island State put measures into place.
And one woman who opted not to show her face said she feels enough is not being done for Tobago.
For us here to do build houses, to pay this, to pay wages, to do all these things is not enough. And they refuse to give us what is ours.
Meantime, economist Anselm Richards, in responding to the budget presentation, made some clarifications regarding to Tobago's percentage.
But we must make the distinction that what comes to the Tobagos Assembly is only $2.477 billion. The other $831 million is under ministry like the Tobago Development and other ministries that will carry out certain activities in Tobago. So we need to make that clear to the listening public.
He continued to explain the arithmetic behind Tobago's share of the budget. He said what Tobago got was 4.029% of the budget, which has been the standard operational budgetary practice of the central government towards Tobago under all administrations. Mr. Richards lamented that had the PNM took up the offer by the People's Partnership Government to reform the Constitution, they would have been able to receive much more than the stipulated amount outlined in the present Constitution.
That bill would have amended Section 113 of the Constitution and provided a constitutional requirement for Tobago to get a minimum share of the national budget of 6.9%. That is 3 percentage point increase.
But with the money given to the THA, Mr. Richards says much emphasis should be placed on education, health, and agriculture. And former president of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, Nicholas Hardwick, expressed disappointment in the budget. He was of the view that after the THA made certain requests, the Minister of Finance would have compelled to Tobago's needs.
And I was particularly disappointed, I have to say, in the fact that the statement in respect of the airport was so bland and very much so similar to what has been mentioned in two previous budgets. And I think throughout the budget statement, there were several echoes from previous budget statements.
He added that the government must issue a definitive statement on the plans for the airport, which must include start and completion dates. Mr. Hardwick was not convinced that after removing Caribbean Airlines subsidies, that the ticket prices would remain the same.
But I fully expect there to be some impact on ticket pricing in due course. I mean, surely their policy is to factor into all accounts, all variables in terms of pricing, and whilst the policy may have changed, the variables have. So I would expect there to be some increase in pricing marginally over a period of time. Perhaps they could delay it, but it will certainly manifest itself in due course, I am sure.
He reiterated that there was very little specifics for Tobago in the budget. He would have loved to see more security for the sister isle. Reporting from Tobago, Natoya Johnson, News 4.
Tobago's fishermen are set to benefit from a pilot program that will implement a geofencing system along with other technological advances.
The government is seeking to monitor the meteorological aspects of the maritime environment and provide the necessary warning systems to local fishermen, facilitate assistance to fishermen and watercraft users experiencing difficulty in open waters, create a safe and secure environment for maritime craft along the island of Tobago, ensure that the local watercraft do not stray out of the territorial waters, and enhance communication between the fishermen and other watercraft users using the same geographical space. On Thursday, during the post-cabinet news briefing, Minister of Tobago Development, Dr. the Honourable Delmon Baker, spoke of a decision taken by the Cabinet which would modernize how fishermen conduct their affairs at sea.
Today, Cabinet has approved the implementation of a 6-month pilot project that will seek to ensure that 50 fishing vessels and small watercraft in Tobago are co-located and have the equipment required to give those vessels the precise information according to the weather patterns and to their locations on the sea. The Cabinet note also included the establishment of an interministerial implementation and monitoring committee comprised of 3 members of the Ministry of Tobago Development, 2 representatives of the Ministry of National Security, 1 representative of the Ministry of Science and Technology, and 1 representative of the Division of Agriculture in the in the Tobago House of Assembly.
The geofencing pilot study will include boats from Buku and Plymouth, and Minister Baker went into greater detail as to what participants in the study can expect.
The system is comprised of 4 parts: an in-house satellite monitoring and tracking system with a tamper-proof circumferential line along the vessel, a 2-way global positioning system and a satellite-based communication device, a multi-frequency sonar fish finder. So we are bringing the idea of locating catches in the marine waters even into the 21st century, with the ability for the multi-frequency sonar fish finder to assist the fishermen in making their catch, and a 100 to 200 watt solar panel system. This will allow the fishermen to even carry some refreshments along with them that would be chilled while they are out at sea.
The Tobago Development Minister is hoping that the geofencing program will allow for the commercialization of the fishing industry in Tobago. He said that once the study is shown to be beneficial, it would be extended for a longer period to include other watercrafts. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, our sport report. Stay with us. Caledonia AIA and W Connection FC will host CONCACAF Champions League matches at the Hazley Crawford Stadium on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. Both teams were on show this weekend when the 2013-2014 season of the TT Pro League kicked off at the same venue, but there were contrasting results. Wayne Cunningham has the highlights.
St. Anne's Rangers were 2-0 down at the start of the second half in their match versus W Connection on the second day of competition in the new season of the TT Pro League. But unfortunately for them, the Savanetta boys were just getting warm. Kurt Frederick making it 3 in the 65th minute. Three minutes later, Stefano Rizal pouncing on the error by Cleavon McPhee to add his name to the score sheet. Substitute Jamal Williams then got in on the act to make it 5-0 W Connection. It got worse for New Rangers coach Gilbert Batu and his team when they lost the goalkeeper following this challenge on Neil Benjamin Jr. Referee Marvin Pierre not hesitating with the red card. With Rangers out of substitutions, midfielder Caleb Sturge took over in goal and did a creditable job, but the Connection firepower was too much. Kurt Frederick with his second off the deflection. Frederick rounded out the scoring with his hat-trick goal in the 85th minute for a 7-0 W Connection win, which took them to the top of the points table. In Game 2 on the night, W's Champions League counterparts Caledonia AIA were expected also to be a notch above their opponents on the night, Northeast Stars. But the men coached by Angus Eve went about doing the same thing they did in this very opening fixture last season, beat the much fancied AIA. Mika Lewis opening the scoring for Northeast in the 14th minute. The free kick confusing the Cali defense, and Lewis slaps home. AIA had a good chance to pull one back before the half, but Keon Edwards could only find the post. That miss would come back to haunt them in the second half. The experienced Anthony Wolf beating Chamel Louison at the first post to make it 2-0 in the 55th minute. Wolf was not done. He completed the scoring 3 minutes from full time for a 3-0 Northeast Stars victory. AIA will surely have to step up when they face Mexican giants Toluca on Wednesday. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
More news after the break. Stay with us. Senator the Honourable Vasant Bharath, Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, is reiterating his pledge to work with manufacturers in all sectors to diversify the economy. He gave the commitment while delivering the feature address at the opening ceremony of Angostura's 3-day-long rum festival.
Angostura Limited has hosted its 4th annual rum festival with this year's theme, Enter the Realm of Rum. The event is aimed at highlighting the company's line of rums and bitters. Speaking at the launch of the 2013 Rum Fest, Trade, Industry and Investment Minister, Senator the Honourable Vasant Bharath, assures there will be a continued drive to promote the long-term sustainable growth of the beverage sector and other non-energy sectors. The Trade Minister, acknowledging that Angostura's export of rum and bitters totaled more than $30 million in a 6-month period, adds that the beverage sector is a particularly important area which he will seek to develop.
As the Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, I want to emphasize my ministry's commitment to working with the beverage industry to ensure continued growth of this most important sector. Focus will be placed on encouraging innovation, research and development in the sector.
He also explains that key to developing these industries is the government's commitment to improve upon the ease of doing business in Trinidad and Tobago.
The Minister of Finance in his budget debate would have mentioned that Trinidad and Tobago has jumped from number 76 on the ease of doing business scale to 69 during the course of 2013, and it is our hope that we are going to be in a position at the end of 2014 to have jumped at least a minimum of a further 10 places. And what that highlights is that we're cutting through the red tape and bureaucracy and making it easier for companies to succeed and thrive in doing business in Trinidad and Tobago.
Minister Bharath praises Angostura for what he believes is its indelible contribution to the nation's history and image.
Trinidad and Tobago's culture and history is both enmeshed and entwined with the history of rum, dating back to the days of our sugarcane plantations. And Angostura Limited, of course, is inextricably linked to this story, positioning Trinidad and Tobago at the epicenter of rum production in the Caribbean. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate Angostura on its awards, as Robert mentioned, of gold, silver, and most outstanding in the International Wines and Spirits competition. Your company continues to do all of Trinidad and Tobago very proud.
Rumfest is used to educate the hospitality and tourism sector, the food and beverage industry, investors and consumers about the various uses of Angostura's line of products, including its world-famous Angostura bitters. Angostura also used Rumfest as the opportunity to launch its new bold packaging for its highly awarded line of rums. At the prestigious International Wines and Spirits competition recently held in the United Kingdom, the local rum maker won 13 more awards to add to its already impressive accolades. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.